would go for covers, and Billy Gunn would count the pins slowly. There was even one spot where Shamrock had the match won, and Billy Gunn decided not to count the 3. Toward the end, Shamrock had Val Venus in the ankle lock, but Shamrock's sister Ryan would get involved by helping Val's hands get to the rope for the break. This would upset Ken as he'd get in her face, and then she'd end up slapping him.
Weak slap.
Yeah, weak slap. Billy Gunn would get between the two on the outside, and Shamrock would shove him. Then Gunn would hit him and send him back into the ring. Val would get Ken into a small package, followed by a quick 3 count by Billy, and then Val Venus would win the Intercontinental title.
Which was his first singles belt.
Mm-hmm. And following the match, Billy Gunn and Ken Shamrock would fight on the top of the entranceway. Then Gunn would then run all the way back down to the ring and attack Val Venus.
No one knows why.
So yeah, Val Venus, new champion, 15 minutes, 52 seconds, far too long. 1 star.
Yeah.
1 star.
Yeah.
So far we just have let's run it. Let's go back here. Let's look at the ratings here. So we got 2 1-star matches. We have a -star match. And we have a 1.5-star match. Oh no, we have two 1.5-star matches.
Yeah, but of course the one at 6 hours is the minus.
Wow.
Yeah, that's how you. You know. That is, they were struggling on the show.
Next, we'd have a tag team match between Kane and China versus Triple H and X-Pac of a DX.
Here was the first decent match.
Yeah, this was not offensive. This match was actually okay. Going into this, China had left DX to join the corporation. Not gonna lie, very weird when she was making her entrance, hearing her coming out to No Chance in Hell.
Yeah.
Shane McMahon would also join this match on commentary.
Oh my god.
Shane would refer to X-Pac throughout this match as X-Punk.
Yeah.
He whenever Kane and China would do anything of any kind of really just actually not even, I was gonna say of any kind of significance. Really, like anything they do, he just kind of get real loud for and obnoxious about.
Yeah, and not to mention the sunglasses. He looked like a freaking douche. Oh my god! He looked like I wanted to just punch him. He was one of the guys you just wanted to punch for no reason.
I think that was the point, though.
Oh yeah, well they did a good job.
Yeah, in that case, yeah. So the crowd was actually really into this one. In the later half, X-Pac and Kane were fighting, and X-Pac would bump Shane, while Triple H and Kane were fighting. X-Pac would hit China with the Bronco Buster with the pop from the live audience. Shane would enter the ring and hit X-Pac from behind. He'd no-sell it and would chase after Shane all the way to the back.
Not to mention, he freaking NFL hurdled the cameraman.
Oh yeah, he jumped over those ropes or whatever.
Yeah.
I think it was the camera wires. And then back at ringside, Triple H would hit China with the knee, but Kane would deliver the chokeslam to Triple H. He draped China on top for the cover and would get the 1-2-3. So Kane and China would win this tag team matchup. 14 minutes, 42 seconds, 2.5 stars. This is the first okay, passable match on the show. So at this point, I'm as I said, from here on out, it's stuff that I could actually tolerate and accept, and it's not bothering me anymore.
Yeah, another interesting fact about the match isn't that China being in that match was the first time a woman was actually in a men's match, not counting the Royal Rumble. They were saying.
Okay.
That's what they were saying.
All right. No, that's definitely worth pointing out. Next, we'd have the WWF Championship on the line. We'd have last man standing matchup between Mankind and The Rock. Mankind, of course, was champion once again after the halftime Heat empty arena match. This would mark another encounter between the two. They'd both previously met in regular one-on-one contest, I Quit matches, of course, an empty arena match. Rock was still wearing his jumpsuit attire at the time, like he did in the I Quit match of the Rumble. They start brawling their way all over the building, up the entranceway, over to a section of random seats I guess that were just there for some reason.
Yeah.
There's some good spots in this one. There was the back body drop from The Rock to Mankind off the announcer's table to the floor with him hitting his leg against a timekeeper's table. Yeah, that's a Mick Foley bump right there.
Yeah, it really was. Let's see, there was caught like Mankind putting Rock through the table when they're in the crowd. That was a good one. But yeah, and then of course like towards the end when they smacked each other right in the face with chairs.
Oh yeah, we're getting there.
Yeah.
So then Rock, there's even also the part where Rock would just drop the steel steps unceremoniously down on the Mankind. There was a spot where Rock would whip to hit Foley or Mankind with the chair. He'd miss, and then then he'd hit the ropes, and the chair would just bounce back off, hitting him right in the face.
And apparently Mankind was wrestling with this match with a dislocated knee.
Yeah, because Rock would also, they showed earlier, which I forgot to put down earlier in the show, there was a spot where not a spot, but I mean, like, they show earlier in the night, like on Heat, I believe, Rock would ambush Mankind from behind, and he'd just try to take out his knee early to kind of, because it is a last man standing match, so he's trying to get that early strategy in, I guess, and try to like make it harder for him to get back up in between. Then there's also the spot where Rock would grab the microphone, sing some Elvis with his own little spin on it, of course, with the show being in Memphis, but it would backfire, and Mankind would get him in the mandible claw. Referee would also go down, but I mean that's like every single like world title match from this time period.
Can I also mention our Michael Cole moment in this match that we forgot to mention?
Yeah.
That he called the People's Elbow Mr. Elbow.
Oh yeah, I think they were doing that because that was when Mankind was doing it. Yeah, that's why he did that. I think.
But
it was not the best People's Elbow or corporate elbow attempt ever. I think it was actually, they called it the corporate elbow at this point.
Yeah.
Not the best attempt ever, but
no.
So yeah, the ref would go down. Typical occurrence in world title matches during this era. They trade hitting each other with their finishing maneuvers. Both men would still be able to make it back up to their feet. Ultimately, both Rock and Mankind would, in sync, hit each other over the head with steel chairs. But it ended up being too much for both competitors, and neither guy would be able to make it up for the count of 10, resulting in a draw. Following this, there would be bullshit chants from the crowd. Both men would be attended to and stretchered out following the match to, I guess, add some drama to the situation. But this was the other match was okay, but for me, this was like the only really good match probably of the night. So it was a draw, 21 minutes, 52 seconds, 3 3/4 from you, 3.5 from me.
It's only because it ended in a draw. If there was actually probably a clear winner, it probably actually would have been higher.
Yeah, it may have been a little bit for me too. Probably not that much more, but a little bit higher. Didn't like this one as much as their I Quit match at the Rumble, but it was still a likable match.
Still a lot of spots and all that stuff, so
still a likable match regardless. Then finally, we'd have the main event here of the evening. It'd be a steel cage match between Stone Cold Steve Austin and Vince McMahon. This match would not officially begin until forever later.
Yeah.
Vince would stall around the cage and ring with Austin chasing him. The crowd was red hot for this, though, throughout. Austin would fake a knee injury, which would trick Vince into coming over to him. Smart job by the face. Can't say that about a lot of them in modern times nowadays. Austin would then proceed to beat Vince up all over the building. The most famous spot of this match, along with probably the finish, which we won't get into yet, but
right.
Of course, is when Vince's head was rammed into the cage, and this would send him falling backwards off the cage down to the announcer's table. Really big bump for someone of Vince's stature in terms of, he's the owner of the company. He's 53 years old at the time. Despite what many may think at times or whatever, like with him, major hats off for that bump. To put yourself like on a danger, like, at that point, especially to, being like the chairman and the owner of like a $1 billion corporation,
Yeah, props to all of his spots because he had a lot of.
Yeah, there's another one I was going to point out later. Then after this, they'd attend to Vince. They'd start stretching him off, but Austin was then being announced as the winner. But then Austin would take the microphone from Howard Finkel and say, "This is bullshit." So Austin would grab Vince and bring him back into the cage, and the match would officially begin, finally.
After like 10 minutes.
Yeah, so I mean, this all kind of goes along with the match regardless, even though it didn't officially start. This all kind of ties in regardless. It was pretty much one-sided for the most part from there. Vince would almost escape at one point, but Austin would stop him. There was another Vince cage bump. This time he'd come from the cage down to the mat where he'd fall. Austin would have a couple opportunities to win the match, but Vince would draw him back in by flipping him off. Austin would hit the stunner on Vince, and then he's all in his ear talking trash to him, whatnot. But then the debuting Paul White would emerge from under the ring and rip through the canvas. He'd start attacking Austin. He'd end up throwing him into the cage so hard that it would break through, and Austin would drop to the floor, which would result in Austin winning the cage match and going on to WrestleMania.
For Austin Rock #1.
Yes.
Oh, wait.
Of course, this is Paul White, or of course, everyone mostly knows him as Big Show. Yeah, not one of the best debuts ever. This is actually a terrible debut.
That might look like it was kind of botched.
Yeah, I've heard people say that, but I don't know.
But the most important thing is they got the most important cue out of the way, which was the ring spot. And he came out from under.
Yeah, so they got that down, and I mean, he was supposed to come in and whatnot, but yeah, this was not the best debut ever. And of course, he was like fresh out of WCW at this time, so, and they called him Paul White, which is his real name. Didn't have a name for him yet, and they later obviously call him Big Show. He was known as the Giant in WCW. So yeah, 2 3/4 for this. Decent match.
It was decent for what it was like.
Yeah, for what it was. 7 minutes 57 seconds was as long as the recorded time was when the match actually officially began. So that may make it seem like on paper it was all really short, but if you count all the stuff beforehand, it probably went up to it's probably 15 minutes long or something
15,
like that.
I would say close to 20 minutes.
Final show rating from both of us, 2.5 out of 10.
Yeah. Yikes.
Yeah, this is one of the worst shows we've ever done. But once again, this is JNC Rewind, and we said we will be giving you the best and worst.
And it ties in because obviously, the other day was Valentine's Day. So
yeah, so and we picked definitely the right week to do it. So
yes, we did.
In the aftermath to follow, there'd be more Mania storylines continuing to develop. Of course, we'd have, as pointed out, we did the first WrestleMania encounter between Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Rock. We also at WrestleMania 15 have a Mankind and Paul White match, and where the winner would go on to be the special guest referee in the main event with The Rock and Austin. We'd have a singles match between Triple H and Kane, even a Hell in a Cell match between Undertaker and the Big Boss Man. WrestleMania 15 was not originally set to be in our lineup for next month when we go into depth and cover several different WrestleMania shows, which we look super forward to doing.
Mm-hmm.
We're actually getting close to wrapping up all of our February GNC Rewind, so another month down, just about. But I guess we both decided that with covering both the 1999 Royal Rumble and this event, St. Valentine's Day Massacre, it'd probably be only fitting if we add in that show as well. Of course, that is WrestleMania 15. So, and also by doing that, we'll now be covering the Road to WrestleManias of WrestleMania 15 now, 17, 23, and 24.
Yes.
So we'll have all those down, and we look forward to getting into those.
Look forward to bringing it up for you.
Yes, you, our audience. So, bit of a quick show here. Last few ones we've done have been more on the lengthier side, but of course, as always, we just try to run with basically what we get out of this.
And obviously not as much.
I've noticed that with the not as great shows, we kind of run through these a little bit quicker than the ones
Because it's really
the
not-
ones we enjoy more are the ones we like go on more about. Which
just unfortunately there really wasn't. They didn't give as much to work with.
well, they didn't give us many positive